Hello, in this video we're going to be looking at why nobody believes the scapegoat, the impact of that upon us, and what to do when we feel like there's nobody there, nobody has our back. So this was a question that was sent in to me, and even the question itself, why nobody believes the scapegoat, is a little bit back to front in my mind. So the dysfunctional family fabricate roles, they fabricate the scapegoat. They create a story around who the scapegoat is. So this family member is bad, this family member is wrong. We all have a green light to talk crap about the scapegoat. They can do no right. So if we understand a bit more about the motivations of the dysfunctional family to have a scapegoat in the first place, we'll realize a little bit more insight about the question, why nobody believes the scapegoat. So a question to ask ourselves is, what is the benefit that the dysfunctional family is gaining from having a scapegoat? And that might be a question that you might want to journal on. What is the benefit your family members are receiving from having you as the family trash can? And you could even go through different family members, the parents and the siblings. So even just with that, the siblings, for example, do receive a lot of benefit, because if you're in the firing line, that means that they're not in the firing line. And as a therapist said to me a couple of years ago, bully or be bullied is the phrase that is there in the dysfunctional family unit. There's so much bullying going on. It's so unhealthy and it's so toxic. So the dysfunctional family create a scapegoat because there are so many benefits to them to having a scapegoat. They don't need to be responsible adults. They don't need to look at their own pain. The scapegoat is a buffer for a lot of pain, a lot of suppressed trauma that the elders have and the previous generations had and generations before that had. So lots of skeletons in the closet that nobody dares go near. So how the psychology works within a dysfunctional family unit is we're going to project that pain onto somebody else, and a lot of shame around that as well, because they're humans, they're not being healthy, they're being very, very toxic. And with all that toxicity becomes a lot of shame. And shame is one of the lowest vibrational frequencies of human emotions. So it's a very tricky one to navigate and to deal with. Shame says, I am bad and I am wrong and I was born bad. So it's this shame sits within the lineage. And the thing with trauma for humans is we can't just brush it under the carpet and pretend it's not there, because that doesn't work. The dysfunctional family go into denial that it does work, that it's okay to do this, and this is how we operate. This is how we've been operating for hundreds of years, and just so happens that one family member from each generation will take a hit for the team, but that's how we do things around here. So it's a form of defense for the family members who are not processing their trauma and their pain. And the two reasons that they need a scapegoat are because they value homeostasis. Dysfunctional families operate similar to a cult. They've no intention of changing their ways anytime soon. So they need a scapegoat to offset their own pain. And for the scapegoat child, it can become a vicious cycle because the scapegoat child is trying to be accepted, trying to have the family members understand that I'm not a bad person, I don't have bad intentions, I'm not setting out to hurt you. But that will fall on deaf ears, because if the family were to change, they'd need to look at all the skeletons in the closet, and they don't want to do that. So for us, when we're a child and we're in the role of the family scapegoat, the impact upon us is that it's very, very confusing. It's very, very disorientating, because sometimes they won't be as much as a bully as they will be at other times. You'll have like the cycle of abuse where there'll be love bombing and before the next attack takes place, so that keeps us hooked in and living in hope that they might change and they might be able to accept us as a valuable family member like everybody else seems to be. And yes, it causes us a lot of self-doubt, because if we're being blamed by all these family members and it's all through childhood, of course that's very, very difficult for the brain to navigate. And part of our survival is to be part of a community and part of the people who, like, our DNA. So to be kicked out of that system is not an option for us when we're a child or teenager. So we'll scramble around trying to do our best to figure it out, like, what can I do to be accepted? And all the while, when we take a wider view of the whole thing, it's an unsolvable puzzle. The parents have no intention of accepting the scapegoat, and there's always going to be a need for a scapegoat. So perhaps for you, you were the golden child, and then you voiced your concerns about what was happening to your sibling, and then the tables turned and you became the scapegoat. Or perhaps you were the scapegoat, and then your golden child sibling did something or went off somewhere, and then you were more favored. So it's very, very confusing, the dynamics, and they're very, very complex. And that can be a type of a dance that we do with the parents all through childhood, teenage years, adulthood, until we get into our recovery work, that we're trying to be accepted by the parents. And the parents, you know, might give us some breadcrumbs, throw some breadcrumbs from their table, and we'll cling on to that for dear life, because as a child it was a life and death situation. We did need to be accepted by the parents, otherwise there was a very real danger that we could be kicked to the side of the curb, and our nervous system definitely knew that. So we can be doing that dance with the parents, and they probably know that, you know, they have full control, full power over us. They can just pull the puppet strings and we'll just dance as they say to. And that's very challenging for us. And that dance that we're doing with the parents, it never has a resolution, it never has a conclusion. to it, we never receive that acceptance. And the benefit of doing that dance with the parents for so many decades is we don't have to face the abandonment wound. So that is one of the things that we need to process when we're in our recovery from scapegoat child abuse, is that real attachment rupture when we were a child with the primary caregivers. We didn't have that. It sent our nervous system off into a state of array, and we have to work through the abandonment and the fear and the terror and the loss and the pain. So yeah, there is a big impact for us with that. So when we're in the role of the family scapegoat, often we can be trying to figure it out, and I know I was, like, for many decades of my life, figure it out, get a solution to it. What's happening here? Clear the confusion, get clarity, get closure, get resolution. But what I found is that it's just a continuous open loop. There's the dysfunctional family, and then there's the scapegoat child, and that dynamic, the dysfunctional family just want to keep that in play to infinity. And even we find when the parents are deceased and pass away, that it just flows down with great accuracy onto the next generation, and the siblings will just continue the work that the parents set up and indoctrinated the siblings as to how to treat the scapegoat child. So very, very tricky. And the way to have a solution to the scapegoat child would be for the dysfunctional family to stop being dysfunctional and to get some healing on board and some empathy and some treat people with basic human rights. So that's the dilemma that we have. So what can we do when there's nobody there to have our back or stick up for us? It is a challenge, but what we do is we become our own cheerleaders. So as the family scapegoat, we have a lot of resilience, we have a lot of intelligence, and we have a lot of independence. We're used to being on our own. We're used to being a lone wolf. We're used to figuring things out for ourselves and just getting on with stuff without any help from anywhere. So we have that skill developed, and we need to keep running with that, but also releasing the pain of being the family scapegoat, the abandonment wound, the grief, and the limiting beliefs. So we want to start then cultivating healthy relationships. We're so used to the template of unhealthy relationships in the family of origin being treated like a piece of rubbish, and it can just take a while to recalibrate and reorient our brain that not everybody is like that. Not everybody in the world will treat you as cruelly as your parents did or your sibling did. And we can start to get proof of that. So we can collate all that proof, make note of it when people are being respectful to you and nice to you, and they don't want to hurt you, they're not interested in bullying you, they're not interested in laughing at you. We just need to keep finding evidence of that. And it's also about, really understanding the limiting beliefs that we hold as the family scapegoat that we really need to work through, which is things like, I'm all alone, I don't matter, I'm unworthy, nobody likes me, other people hate me. They're limiting beliefs. They're not true, but our body and every fiber of our being believes they're true. So the more healing we can get into our system, the more we will see evidence in our external life that is improving, that our life is improving, that life supports us, there are opportunities. Sometimes we can't fathom what life could be like because we're so indoctrinated into the cult of the dysfunctional family. But as we step away from all the brainwashing, we can definitely attract really positive people into our life and really positive opportunities. Also, because I work with so many family scapegoats, there is a common theme in the type of person they are, which is very intelligent, very talented, and have many, many gifts. So I'd encourage you to really look at what were you good at as a child even. What did you love? What brought you joy? What hobbies do you have? What can you do really, really well that just is so effortless to you that other people have to study for years and practice for years to get anywhere where you are? So I'm sure you have many talents like that, and to focus your attention there, really grow your zone of genius, get to know your zone of genius, and that will give you a lot of confidence. In terms of healthy relationships, we really want to understand what is a healthy relationship. What does that look like? How can I expect people to treat me? And understanding reciprocity in human relationships. You don't always have to be the giver. You don't have to be a people pleaser. Work through fears of what will happen if I don't bend over backwards for this person and overgive. So healing that, so you can have more self-worth. And what are you letting go of from the relationship template that you had growing up about, oh, this is how other people treat each other. They shout and they're cruel and they laugh at other people and they gossip like crazy behind their back, and they're just very kind of small-minded like that. So we're very used to that, human interactions, and no loyalties, no respect for other people. So we really want to have boundaries around that. What do we want? You know, how do we want to interact with other people, and how would we want them to interact with us? So you can definitely like join communities, online communities. I have a community, I have a paid monthly membership, but also even just if that's not an option for you, just to be on my social media, because I interact there a lot and there can be conversations, and just to get the validation and see other people who have been in this role, how they are healing and how their life can be different. So we want a little bit of a North Star with that to pull us magnetically into that direction, and to have some optimism that things can be better, things can look wildly different from the past, and the brain has a brilliant capacity to grow and to change. I was in the role of the family scapegoat. I only went no contact when I was in my early 40s, and I currently don't have any toxic relationships in my life. I'm free of all of that, and I have some wonderful people in my life, some wonderful human beings in my life that I'm very, very grateful for, and I'm part of some wonderful communities where people respect each other and people have fun and people interact with kindness. So it's possible. I was able to get there, and I hope for you that you're also able to get there. So why nobody believes the family scapegoat is it's part of a wider dysfunctional family system that has been there for many, many generations, which sits within a very, very dysfunctional society. So you may find that, you know, extended family members also don't believe you. It's very hard to get people on your side. People are fickle, and as I said at the beginning, they benefit from that and they need the fall guy. So how to live our life away from this role is to get clarity on what type of people that you want to surround yourself with. If people are indoctrinated into the dysfunctional family system and want to believe the main ringmasters, then they're probably not healthy people to be around, because they're going to view you in a certain way that they've been told to view you. They don't really have capacity to think for themselves or to hear another side of the story, because they're also benefiting from that. So there are lots of people in the world who are wonderful people, who are kind people, who are lovely people to be friends with, who will support you, and they're definitely out there. You may not have met many of them yet, but when you do your healing, you'll be vibrating at a level that will be able to attract those people. You'll be able to recognize that they're healthy people, and you'll feel confident and have the self-worth to spend time with them and get to know them and be friends with them. So I hope this video has been helpful. Thank you very much for watching, and talk to you soon.